enabled.
Set in the hinterland of India's maximum city, the American School of Bombay is the juxtaposed picture of vibrant cultures and myriad diasporas. Founded in 1981, the American School of Bombay was established as a response to the growing number of the expatriate communities in India. The school hosts a student population of about 750 from 50 different countries, making it a vibrant melting pot of diverse ethnicities and cultures. In pursuit of excellence and leading this cause from the front, we gauge the thoughts of the school's superintendent, Craig Johnson, as he wins the prestigious AAIE International Innovation Leadership Award. Mr. Johnson, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
It's my pleasure, Davina. Thank you.
That's great. So let's start from the top. I believe congratulations are in order, and you've recently won the AAIE award. Can you talk us through this a little bit? Tell us the meaning of the award and the significance it really holds.
Yeah, I think, like most awards that are given to leaders of organizations, it's often really representative of what the organization has done. So before we even go there, this really is an innovative leadership for the American School of Bombay as being a leader in the educational landscape of the world. Having said that, it's given to us by an organization called the Advancement of International Education. Okay. And it's a 50-year-old organization that is sort of a mother umbrella for all the international schools in the world. Okay. And over the 50 years, they oftentimes give grants, they give fellowships, they give awards. And to celebrate their 50th anniversary, the board got together and said, what award could we create and start and hopefully perpetually keep it, that would really represent the 21st century, 50 years that we've been doing this, the tide of education right now. Yeah. So they called it the Innovative Leadership Award. And then a call went out to the world to ask for nominees. I was nominated by our board of directors, and to make a long story short, I won the award. So bravo. I won the award, bravo. The American School of Bombay won the award. Yeah. But I think what's really important and why you and I are talking about this is that the American School of Bombay in Mumbai, in India, gets recognized as an educationally innovative and relevant school compared to schools on every continent in hundreds of cities. So I think that's really worth celebrating, is that India, who has always, as a culture, really respected and revered education, is now being recognized for actually innovative and relevant education in 2016.
Wow, that's fantastic. Once again, congratulations on that. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit now about your journey. You have been in a leadership position here at the ASB as superintendent. Let's talk a little bit about that. You strive for perfection, you strive for innovation. Tell us about your strategy and how you really achieve these goals.
Yeah. When I found out that I was being recognized as an innovative leader, I was a little hesitant with the innovative piece, because oftentimes innovation for the sake of innovation is a bad idea. Right. Just because you want to innovate or just because you want to change doesn't actually mean you're getting better. What we would like to think at the American School of Bombay is that we are very innovative in finding better ways and more relevant ways to do things. You'll often hear us at the American School of Bombay talk about we like to think we are one of the most relevant schools in the world. Right. What does that mean? What that means is that we are constantly asking ourselves, is the content and are the skills and dispositions that we are working with our children to learn relevant today, and will they be relevant tomorrow? Or were they only relevant yesterday, and are they actually archaic today? And I'll tell you, Davina, the world is moving and changing and evolving very quickly, and nowhere more so than in what children need to learn to be very successful people and very successful professionals. So I think that's really what we're constantly in this point of tension, to innovate and yet to be relevant and to make sure that every day that our kids are in school, they're learning something that is applicable today and will be applicable tomorrow. Davina, these kids that are 6 years old, they're actually being prepared for a future that doesn't exist.
Right.
They're actually being prepared to create a future that they will create. So that is a huge responsibility on us as a school to really make sure that we are relevant and appropriate for every age and every group and all of the different diversity within our population, especially for a school like the American School of Bombay that has up to 52 different nationalities. So you think to yourself, we have Koreans coming from Korean school systems. We have Canadians coming from the Canadian public school system. We have South Africans coming from private schools. We have the huge UK, Aussie, and Kiwis coming in. And then you have a large population, maybe 15 to 20% of our kids that are really Indian nationals, having lived overseas. The families are coming back. So now the question of relevancy becomes very, very tricky. It's really a quagmire. What's relevant for one population may not necessarily be. So you try to really streamline a relevant population and a relevant education, and then you say, what can we do for the Koreans on the side? What can we do for the kids that will transfer into UK systems, the A levels and the O levels? I think that is where the American School of Bombay, with 250 educators for 750 kids, we kind of have the luxury of human resource. So we're able to put these teams of teachers, imagine it's 3 to 1, Davina. So to really create pathways, very individualized pathways, where our children can chase their own relevancy and yet be relevant in a larger system as well.
Yeah, great, fantastic. On the other side, we get a sneak peek into the school's core values and missions in our discussion with Craig Johnson. Stay tuned.
India has transformed herself over the last decade, and infrastructure development has been fueling this growth and economic activity, be it highways or expressways, or engineering marvels like flyovers and bridges, or tunnels facilitating connectivity. Toll-based public-private partnership projects make infrastructure development sustainable and viable. The rapid development in infrastructure lays the foundation, connecting people, connecting cities, driving growth across the nation, and connecting India. IRB Infrastructure Developers Limited, Highway to Growth.
मेरा नया स्कूल ना बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट है. मिनिमम अटेंडेंस ना हो तो प्रॉब्लम है. लेकिन आंटी, आपका बंधन अकाउंट तो बिल्कुल स्ट्रिक्ट नहीं है. मिनिमम बैलेंस कभी 0 भी हो जाए तो भी नो प्रॉब्लम. लकी है आप.
बंधन बैंक, आपका भला सबकी भलाई.
One little slip and conversation ceases. Heart rates pound and the profanity. Unless you have the Moto X-Force with the world's first shatterproof screen, in which case, whatevs.
Investment in knowledge always provides higher returns. NSE Investor Protection Fund Trust presents FinWiz, powered by CNBC TV 18, a financial education initiative that will help India's young workforce explore new investment ideas. At these times, only on CNBC TV 18.
Presented by National Stock Exchange Investor Protection Fund Trust.
Quitting a job to start your own company is risky. Give it another thought.
If I have me by my side, I can rock a star, I can leave a mile. If I have me by my
side. Thought about it. Believing in yourself is not risky.
Chevrolet Cruze. Only those who do their own thinking find new roads.
The American School of Bombay is driven by its mission to empower its students with the skills, courage, optimism, and integrity to pursue their dreams and enhance the lives of others. Inculcating these values in every student, the school's journey of a few decades has given birth to many a great minds that think, innovate and ideate a better future for the world.
So now let's talk a little bit about the school, about ASB. It's truly a very unique institution. Can you tell us about the mission, your core values? I believe you have a bit of a philanthropic angle as well. And also how you really prepared to help these transitory global families who are in India and support their educational needs.
35 years ago, in the U.S. consulate, when it was down at Bridge Candy, the school was born. And it was born with, if I'm not mistaken, 17 children from 11 different nationalities. So on day one, the American School of Bombay was already sort of a microcosm of the world, sort of our own little United Nations, right? 17 kids, ages really from 5 to 16, from 11 different nationalities. So the school was actually born with the objective of, when these transitory families come to India for diplomatic reasons or for commercial reasons, and they don't have too many choices other than Indian schools. Remember, this is 35 years ago. It was either an Indian educational system, English medium, Hindi medium, Marathi medium. So kids coming from all over the world are going to be finding it difficult to transition. So the American School of Bombay was born. Then, 35 years later, we find ourselves not only in Bandra Kurla complex, but we have two campuses. We have one campus in Kurla, which is our elementary school, which is from our 3-year-old program to our 5th standard, or 5th grade. And here we go from 6th grade to high school, which we have our middle school and our high school program here. As I mentioned earlier, the American School of Bombay has the luxury of being very well staffed. We have about 250 educators to meet the needs of our 750 and sometimes 850 students. And what drives all of this is the mission of the school. So at the American School of Bombay, our mission is really very simple. We begin with inspiration. The mission of the American School of Bombay is to inspire all of our children. Not to teach, not to have students learn, not to engage with, to inspire. We have chosen that word particularly. So we're going to inspire our children to what? To continuous inquiry. So if you were to take only one line out of what does the American School of Bombay do every single day, we inspire children to ask questions. So that's first. But asking questions without content and without skills is really a superficial exercise. So below that, in our mission statement, we say, but we will empower them with the skills necessary to deal with the answers to their questions. And while we're at it, we're going to focus on courage, we're going to focus on optimism, and we're going to focus on integrity.
The school not only acknowledges the special needs of these transitory students, but also enables individual pathways for them to seamlessly ease into the system.
You know, we are probably one of the largest expat visa holders in the country. You know, we have 100+ expatriate teachers. And in my 6 years here, we have never had difficulty getting a visa. The Ministry of External Affairs has received us with open arms, and they're like, what are the teachers that you need to really deliver the education of the American School of Bombay? I think India knows that schools like ours are critical to bringing in foreign investment, to bringing in, I mean, some of these people get a job, and they can say, you can be in India, you can be in Beijing, you can be in Tokyo, where do you want to go? First thing they do is look at schools for their children. So I think India gets that. And India also knows that the education in India is fast evolving.
I think the educators who find the most success at ASB are the ones who really have that growth mindset.
This is now my 7th year in teaching, and I don't think I've grown so much anywhere else. It's been an explosion of like my potential and like where I've been able to go with everything that I've done.
Oftentimes, schools talk about dreams. At the American School of Bombay, we don't ask a child, what's your dream, and then we go after it. We get them to understand how to dream. And what are the dreams? And how do you know that your dreams you have are actually your dreams? Let's expose you to much more than that so your dreams can be deeper and more thorough. And then the last line, which brings us to sort of our connection with other organizations is, and while you're dreaming, and while you're pursuing your dreams, are you enhancing the lives of others? So the last phrase in our sentence, in our mission statement is to enhance the lives of others. So again, everything we do, we have to ask ourselves, is this enhancing our neighbors? Is this enhancing Mumbai? Is this enhancing the world? And speaking of that, for instance, we have the privilege of sharing the block with Save the Children, the NGO for children of hearing impaired. And we have a wall. So something that happened several years ago, we literally broke down the wall.
Wow.
We actually put holes in the wall so that the children from the NGO, Save the Children, can have access to our facilities and we can have access to them, because really it's that almost give and take between two organizations that we both grow.
Yeah.
The last thing the American School of Bombay wants to be in this beautiful, dynamic, maximum city is one that says we have the answers and we're here to give. Because we are not. We are here to receive, we are here to share, we are here to build partnerships. So we actually have a formal relationship with about 25 NGOs.
Okay.
So our first standard has the same NGO every single year. So every year in first grade, we know exactly what we're going to do, whether it's saving the dogs, or whether it's painting the graffiti, or whether it's orphans for HIV, or whether it's unwed mothers. You know, whatever, as you get older, it becomes more complex. So these 25 NGOs have a very strong relationship with us for our children to engage on service. But also, another really powerful thing we do is we provide a teacher training program for all of our educational NGOs. So we have all of these facilities, and then we're surrounded by walls. So we've got to break those walls down, and we've got to make sure that the educational landscape of Mumbai and India has access to what we have, and that we have access to what they can teach us.
On the other side, we take a look at how the American School of Bombay is setting new standards in making the school technologically advanced.
आज का थोड़ा कुछ कल का बहुत कुछ बन सकता है, इसीलिए LIC का जीवन शिखर वन टाइम प्रीमियम इक्वल्स लॉन्ग टर्म बेनिफिट्स। LIC, जिंदगी के साथ भी, जिंदगी के बाद भी।
India's largest circulated newspaper, Dainik Bhaskar.
On this week's episode, we set out to explore the work environment in offices of one of India's leading long-term life insurance solutions provider, HDFC Life, along with renowned business conglomerate Murugappa Group, and the foremost global professional services company, Accenture. Catch Skilltree Workplace Excellence Season 1 at these times only on CNBC TV 18.
An initiative by Skilltree Knowledge Consortium. Knowledge partner Dale Carnegie. Brought to you by Great Place to Study Research Institute.
आप सबने दुनिया भर में क्या मिसाल बनाई है, जिस सफाई से आपने कचरा वहीं फेंक दिया। और मन्नू आंटी क्या कूड़ा फेंकती हैं, ओलंपिक्स के गोला फेंकने वाले भी शर्मा जाएं। और ये देखिए, लक्ष्मी भाभी की सफाई तो गांव-गांव में प्रसिद्ध है। हमारे सुखिया भैया मन की करते हैं, जहां सोचा वहीं शौच कर दिया। ये देश जो आप ही का घर है, उसे क्यों गंदा करते हैं? थोड़ी शर्म कर लो, सोच स्वच्छ कर लो।
अगर एक बार 125 करोड़ देशवासी तय कर लें कि मैं गंदगी नहीं करूंगा, तो दुनिया की कोई ताकत नहीं है जो हिंदुस्तान को गंदा कर सकती है।
स्वच्छ भारत, एक कदम स्वच्छता की ओर।
India's biggest business awards complete 10 glorious years of empowering the Indian entrepreneur. This year, the Emerging India Award goes on the road to cities and towns to seek out India's most promising entrepreneurs. This February in Kolkata, ICICI Bank Business Banking and CNBC TV 18 present the 10th Emerging India Awards 2016, powered by CRISIL. To nominate yourself for the City Round, SMS EIA to 51818.
Presenting sponsor, ICICI Bank Business Banking. Khayal Aapka. Powered by CRISIL, India's leading rating agency.
The American School of Bombay is at the cusp of a technological revolution through which it aims to engage its students at all levels in learning highly competitive techniques that will set the tone for a smarter future.
Let's talk about kind of the core of the school. You've touched upon this, but can you tell us about the students, the faculty, and the various programs that you offer?
Yeah, we have about a 20% of our population that is at our school for more than 3 years. Our average student turnover is between 2.8 to 4 years. So that in itself is a blessing, but also kind of a curse. The blessing in that is that there's a constant churn of families. India, people are coming, they're investing, they're putting their time here, then they're moving out. And we as a school have to become masters of transition.
Right.
We are not a school that people come and then leave occasionally. Davina, here's a great number. Out of the 265 days, we have school at the American School of Bombay for 265 days. So that's about 50 days more than your average school.
Right.
Out of the 265 days, over 100 days, there's a new child coming to our school.
Wow.
So many schools begin in August, and all the kids are in August, and then no one comes new. For 100 days during the year, new families are landing. We could, and we have had, families land and come to our school with only 3 weeks of school left. Because for whatever reason, their company moved them, or their families are airlifted out of hot spots around the world, so they kind of come here. So we have, once again, we start a 3-year-old program all the way to the International Baccalaureate in 11th and 12th grade, 52 different nationalities, 250 teachers, 800 kids. Most of our kids staying here for 3-point-something years. Another 20% of us staying much longer. So the program that we have to build is a very individualized program.
Right.
Where when kids land, and it's not the start of school, we have to really figure out where they are. So where did you come from? What did you learn? Because the last thing we want to ever do for a child is to reteach what they just did, or to expect them to learn what they are not prepared for.
Right.
So when they come in, we do a lot of diagnostic sort of testing and assessing to see where they are, and then we create this individualized pathway. As you can imagine, kids coming from 90 different school districts, I mean school systems. So even though they're coming from 52 countries, they're coming from different systems. And then they land, like in some systems, very simply, Davina, some schools teach rocks in 3rd standard. Some teach rocks in 4th standard, minerals. Some do it in 5th. So if we have a kid coming into 5th grade that did rocks already and we're doing rocks, what do you do with that? So I think we create a very individualized pathway. We follow a standards-based from the United States. It's called the Aero Standards. So most American and international schools, about 3,000 schools around the world, follow the same standards, where it says 3rd grade does this, 4th grade does this, etc. So we follow an Aero Standard. But really our core and what makes us so special is that knowing we have such a transitory population and knowing that we are committed to true relevance in education, we have no choice but to ethically and professionally create individual pathways for our children to learn.
Do you want to emphasize any of the programs that you have, and also the aspect of technology and how technology is used from a very young age for very creative purposes at the school as well?
Yeah, we are a one-to-one laptop school, which means every one of our children is bringing their own laptop. The school does not provide the laptop because we're actually what's called bring your own device. Some people just tend towards Dell, some people do much better with Apple, etc. So they come in, of course there are certain standards that they have, their technology has to meet so that they can engage with us. And then we are a very tech integrated school. We are not a school that teaches you technology. We are a school that teaches you school with the use of technology. So innovation and the integration of technology, I would say that that really is one of our differentiators, is that our children, we hear it all the time, they go off to university and they are so well prepared. I think the other program I would sort of talk about a little bit is the maker movement. Several years ago, we do a lot of studying on trends. I mean, there are these multi-million-dollar educational investment companies that all they do is they study the trends, and they tell you 3 years from now, as schools, you better be prepared for this. 5 years, this. 7 years, this. So we do a lot of time, we spend a lot of time talking about that. We have an entire educational research and development department who's charged with see what's coming, get prepared, figure out how it meets our expectations and our curriculum, and get us up to speed. So they're just on that cycle all the time. And Maker Movement really is kids using their hands, using tools, using electricity, kind of like the beginning of young engineering. So we went out and we really did our homework, and we really built this maker movement all the way through the school.
Okay.
So you'll see our 11th and 12th graders building really high-level engineering projects, and our elementary kids just trying to figure out how to get a car to run on a battery and building that. So I think the maker movement, once again, integrating that all the way through, is an indicator, if you will, about how you study trends, how you prepare people with a relevant education of what I need today and what I need tomorrow.
At ASB, you'll hear yes more than you hear no. So every idea that I've had, it hasn't been met with resistance, but it's been met with yes. And how can we do that so that it'll make our community better?
ASB's ASB. It's at the forefront of what it does. The fact that it publishes research was really attractive, and it's innovative. You know what? It's not afraid to get it wrong, and I think that's great. That's a real position of strength, and it's a show of confidence.
When schools focus on the future, that's one way they can be ready to make decisions about the future. And I think R&D provides that capacity to a school.
I think ASB takes a look at education and what's coming up around the bend, and really starting to try to prototype solutions ahead of time so that we're not reacting to change, but we're putting our best foot forward before it actually happens.
Well, we've spoken a lot about international families who move to India. They're looking for good quality education. But let's also talk about Indian families. Would you say, in your experience, that Indian families are also looking to gear up their children for global experiences, get them ready to really embrace global opportunities? How has that changed?
I think our Indian families are some of our strongest advocates to keeping the American School of Bombay as relevant as possible.
Yep.
We have the policymakers, we have the population, and we have the NGOs, so it's almost like this perfect storm in India. And then we get the award. So all eyes are in India right now. Everyone's saying, what? The American School of Bombay gets the Innovation Award? What's happening there? What's going on there? So a lot of people are calling, a lot of people are trying to take a look at what we're doing. So I want to conclude by saying, no school could want a better population than highly motivated Indian families that understand education is the #1 priority for us, and it's the right education, not just education. And I'm all over my Indian families. They are my favorite because they get it.
The American School of Bombay is dedicated to creating an environment that integrates Indian education with Western methodology in an attempt to globalize the learning experience and take it to newer heights.